Hello and welcome in.
Please do not leave your luggage unattended on the station.
Welcome to the show. Good morning. Feels kind of like Monday, but it's not. It's Tuesday, bonus day, holiday week, Labor Day yesterday. Hopefully, all of you stayed home, relaxed, and celebrated all your labor that you do every single week, going into the office, making that money, working hard. I hope you celebrated yourself. I know I celebrated Jay yesterday back there behind the board, working hard, putting in the hard labor to make sure that this show comes to you. You can hear me, you can see me, and you can even see Jay. There he is. Did you celebrate your labor yesterday, Jay? You were. He did. Yeah, we did work, and you know, wow, Jay. I don't even know if you knew that you just set me up perfectly to go right into the first topic I had. We did work yesterday. Whole bunch of changes. If you noticed, oh nope, up here, brand new logo, brand new phase for us here at Guerilla Sports. Announced some exciting new hires yesterday. Megan Angley joining our team to help up our Avalanche coverage. JJ and I last year, I really felt made some great, really exciting strides for the Avalanche coverage space. And I'm really excited to be able to take that another step forward. We announced a whole new rebrand here, and our team here at Guerilla Sports worked their absolute tails off. Really starting, every single day people here work their tail off, but it was about halfway through the week last week that we really kicked this rebrand into overdrive when we officially got our new brand package, all of that. So it was a dead sprint from probably about Wednesday last week up until yesterday. And then myself, Jay, Chloe, I had over 1,000 notifications by the time I went to bed last night, Jay. We were working the phones hard yesterday, making sure that the rebrand went off without a hitch. We appreciate you guys very, very much. The support and the outpouring yesterday was just really exciting for us to see. We put in a lot of work over here on everything that we do. So it's always awesome to see the labor that we were celebrating be rewarded. So big shout out to all of you guys. A lot of really exciting things coming here at Guerilla Sports. We do have new what we're calling beat specific pages. If you are, on Guerilla Sports' main outlets, all of our main pages, we are still going to continue to bring you guys all of the best sports coverage, including what's happening here in Denver, up close and personal to Colorado Avalanche, Denver Nuggets, Denver Broncos, CU Buffs, where we're credentialed. We're there in the locker room, which I'm so excited. We're so close to being back at the rink. And if you want all of that, you're in the right place. The Guerilla Sports YouTube, our Twitter, our Instagram, our TikTok, our website, guerrillasports.net, which also got a little bit of a makeover that was launched yesterday. You're in the right spot. But if you are looking for something a little bit more pointed, if you're extra interested in the Denver Nuggets and the NBA, head on over. You can follow our Guerilla Sports off-court accounts. If you're extra into the Broncos, want some more NFL news, you can go over and follow our Guerilla Sports off-field accounts. And then if you're looking for more of me and Megan and JJ talking more abs, more NHL, find the Guerilla Sports off-ice account, which that Twitter account is already closing in on 1,000 followers in just 24 hours, less than 24 hours. So thank you guys very much. Like I said, a lot of exciting stuff going on here at Guerilla Sports. And the season's just about to get started across the board. So thank you guys so much for all the support, all the love yesterday. And please, 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 please head on over. Make sure you're following those pages so that you can stay as dialed in as absolutely possible with college football week 1 this past week, NFL week 1 coming up this week, and then NHL training camps. Official on-ice activities start next week. NBA just a couple weeks behind that. So we're here. We've made it. Let's get into some of the topics for today. But make sure you guys are checking out all of the stuff that we rolled out yesterday. Again, like Jay said, we worked Very hard. And on Labor Day. I know. We worked on Labor Day. Hold your applause. Let's get into just some of the news. And I do want to start by touching on something that we had to, end the week with last week. The horrible, unfortunate passing of Johnny Gaudreau. The outpouring of love has continued through the weekend. Not that you would expect anything otherwise, but I did find it hard to not get emotional, not get choked up as you scrolled through social media this week to just see this is at the Gaudreau's hometown hockey rink, the rink that they grew up playing at in the New Jersey, Pennsylvania, tri-state area. We've seen at NHL rinks all across the country and across Canada the outpouring of support. Jaromir Jagr, legendary NHL player, and who you've heard me, if you follow my work, I say does not get anywhere near enough credit for being in the greatest of all time conversation for hockey, put out a really touching tribute. It was a highlight of the last goal Jaromir Jagr ever scored in the NHL. Jaromir Jagr still plays professionally for the team he owns over in Czechia in his mid-40s, maybe even 50s. But it was the last goal he ever scored in the NHL when he was playing for the Calgary Flames, and Johnny Gaudreau assisted on it. Jaromir Jagr put out a post. I'm going to read the whole thing just because, again, when it was just another one of those moments that makes you really grasp the how many people someone like Johnny Gaudreau touched in even what, his short career and his way, 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 way too short life. This is from Jaromir Jagr, quote, "I honestly never thought I'd write a text like this to a post. Yeah, that was my last NHL goal. Yes, that was a pretty nice goal. Yes, it was a beautiful, beautiful pass above all. Unfortunately, life can sometimes be incredibly cruel. Thank you, Johnny Gaudreau, for being there and giving hope to all the guys with your incredible performances that though they were not the biggest and toughest, that they can succeed at the NHL world class just like you did. My condolences to the whole family. Rest in peace to you and your brother." Out front of the Saddle Dome in Calgary, really kind of a breathtaking tribute with sidewalk chalk, flowers, jerseys, sticks, flags. You can see there, if you look at the screen, it's hard to find a square foot of open space that isn't covered by heartbreaking, touching words. And again, this is someone who was so young, still so much life ahead of them, let alone so much of their career still ahead of them. And you get a sense for how many lives that Johnny Gaudreau and his brother Matthew touched. And again, it doesn't get any easier. We're almost a week removed from it now, and it's still almost impossible to believe. Like Jaromir Jagr said there in his post, you don't ever think that you'll be talking about something like this, especially with a player and a person like Johnny Gaudreau. This was something that I didn't want it to be a topic that we touched on once and then moved on from, especially when you see what's happening all across North America still. That photo that we just showed out front of the Saddle Dome in Calgary, that's from yesterday. And you see the shadows there. Those are people that are still standing out front. This is continuing every single day. And I imagine that we're going to continue to see stuff similar to this every day up until the start of the season and beyond. Every home game in Calgary, every game that Columbus goes, either every game in Columbus or every game that Columbus walks into a different building, Johnny Gaudreau is going to be celebrated, and you just love to see it. And I wanted to make sure that we continue to acknowledge it here as those tributes continue to come out. This will not be the last time we talk about Johnny and Matthew Gaudreau. Let's shift on over to the world of football where, like I said off the top, we're getting into week ones. We just had a week one for college football, and it made some headlines. Not in the sense that there were a bunch of crazy good games. In fact, kind of the opposite. There was really a bunch of stinkers. Week one, this isn't in my rundown, so I'm going to go a little bit off script here. I've always known this to be, a true principle. I never fully understood what it was. You see a lot in week one. CU honestly did something along these lines. You see a lot of big name schools playing against really lesser opponents and resulting in big blowouts. For example, CSU went into Texas and got absolutely clowned for 60 minutes. The reason they do stuff like that, CSU made $1.8 million. Texas University of Texas, the Longhorns, paid CSU $1.8 million. The CU Buffs paid North Dakota State several $100,000 to come into Boulder on week one. Those games are meant to be relatively easy wins. That's what the bigger school gets out of it, and the smaller school gets the money. So, point being, there wasn't a lot of crazy good games that you just had to watch based on the result, but there were a few games that broke some records or got close to breaking records, including the Buffs. The Buffs narrowly survived, beating North Dakota State, the North Dakota State Bison, which I did find funny. You're the Buffaloes playing against the Bison, but the Buffs and Bison game was the highest rated Thursday night opener in the last 7 years, averaging 4.6 million viewers, peaking at 5.6. That is the power of Deion Sanders. You had a team that finished with 4 wins just a year ago, playing against a Division II. Yes, North Dakota State is a good, they've won several national championships. They're a good Division II team, but they're a Division II school. Make no mistake about it. Those two schools somehow team up for the largest Thursday night audience in the last 7 years. But it didn't stop there. Saturday, the triple header on ESPN averaged 7.6 million viewers. That was LSU. That was University of Miami knocking off Florida State in what a lot of people talked about kind of as an upset. But given that it's not even week 2 yet and Florida State is somehow already 0-2 after losing to Georgia Tech in Ireland last weekend, I don't really know how much of an upset that was. 7.6 million viewers. That was the second most watched Saturday kickoff ever on ESPN. And ABC had a similar fate, only with a larger audience, USC and LSU, averaging 9.2 million viewers, peaking at 11.1. ABC averaged 8 million viewers across their 4 games, its second best week 1 ever. People were clamoring for football to get started. Like I said, the power of Coach Prime and the hype he's built around the CU Buffs. It doesn't matter. They're playing a Division II school. Who cares? People want to see Prime and what the Buffs can do. And we saw those numbers reflected in that. I'm anxious to see what we've got on the docket for week 1 in terms of viewership. I'm going to be anxious to see where everything lands. But we do have a couple interesting storylines in the NFL that we'll talk about in just a minute. One last thing on college football. We talked about it last week. So the viewership numbers are impressive. You understand college football, the NCAA takes seriously what makes it to air for obvious reasons. We just talked about millions and millions and millions of eyeballs. One thing that Oklahoma State was told cannot make it to air are the QR codes on the back of their helmets. These made headlines last week as Oklahoma State put out pictures and a statement saying that their players would be wearing QR codes on the back of their helmets. That QR code led directly to the NIL fund, student athlete fund, that benefited all student athletes at OSU, where you could make donations towards the NIL fund. Well, the NCAA came out and said, not so fast. That is advertising. That is you guys trying to raise money using the power of our eyeballs and our distribution. The NCAA said, you are not allowed to do that. We love that you guys are trying to support your players and trying to support your athletes who maybe don't get direct NIL deals and would benefit from a large crowdfunding source like this. But you cannot use the NCAA brand and our multi-billion-dollar television contracts to attract eyeballs to the QR codes on the back of your helmet. After they made so many headlines, especially, I'm sure the NCAA wasn't ultra keen on how much attention these were going to get and how much money was likely going to be diverted to OSU's NIL fund as a result of how much airtime those QR codes were going to get. Though, if I'm being honest, I did also wonder, how clean of a shot are you going to get at a QR code watching a football game on TV? I thought it was kind of silly from the beginning, and this makes sense to me. Let's jump over to the NFL. My guy D-Mac is in the building here. He'll be on Dumb Jock with Nate Jackson. So I asked him, I said, are there any storylines in particular that you are tracking going into week one? Obviously, aside from the Denver Broncos, which I do think are going to be a big storyline for a lot of people around the NFL to watch. Bo Nix was graded as the top-rated rookie. Yes, ahead of Caleb Williams coming out of the preseason. I think there is a lot of optimism here in Denver. I do wonder, is that optimism maybe being placed into a sense of false hope that the team is maybe going to way overachieve what a lot of the projections are right now? Potentially, but I do think the Broncos are going to be an interesting storyline every week. Of course, Vegas has them as 6-point underdogs going into Seattle for week one. Seattle made the playoffs last year after overachieving themselves and maybe finishing with a bit of a higher record than a lot of people expected after moving on from Russell Wilson, who was named a captain in Pittsburgh this week as well as the starter. But yes, the Broncos are 6-point underdogs. I think as maybe another daily dose reminding Bronco fans, relax, pump the brakes. You got a rebuilding team here. It's okay. There's going to be a little bit of pain ahead more than likely. If this team overachieves, okay, great. But if they're going to do that, they better make the playoffs. What this Broncos team can't do is overachieve, miss the playoffs, and find themselves once again in the dreaded middle. Not good enough to make the playoffs, not bad enough to be picking at the top of the draft. That aside, like I said, Vegas giving us all a reminder that in addition to the Broncos over-under this season still being at 4.5, they are 6-point underdogs going up against an average Seattle Seahawks team. The other big storyline that a lot of people were chuckling at a little bit, ESPN ran a simulation similar to how EA Sports does every single year before seasons kick off. That simulation, while it also projected the Broncos to be at 7 wins, had the New York Jets at 12 wins. Of course, Aaron Rodgers should be back in at quarterback after missing the entire season last year with a leg injury. We will see, can the 40-something-year-old Aaron Rodgers continue to beat Father Time the same way Tom Brady did and the same way even Peyton Manning was able to there in the last couple seasons to try to get his team closer and closer to a championship? We will have our first look at that this weekend. I think that's it for football for right now. Let's talk. Look, I told this to Jay earlier, and his European mind just couldn't even comprehend Joey Chestnut, an American patriot who was barred from the 4th of July hot dog eating contest this year unceremoniously. Well, Netflix invited Joey Chestnut and Kobayashi to a Labor Day hot dog one-on-one eat-off. I don't know. Is that what you'd call it? Hot dog off? And it was, as you would expect, disgusting. Joey Chestnut broke his own really gross record by eating 83 hot dogs in just 10 minutes, beating his own previous record. Kobayashi got close. Was maybe the most interesting competition that Joey Chestnut has had in the last 15 years, which was the last time these two competitors met, by eating 67. These two had gone head-to-head 5 times before. Again, like I said, all pre-2010. That was when Kobayashi retired from competitive eating after, similar to Joey Chestnut, a controversial sponsorship deal. So it had been 15 years since these two had gone head-to-head. Joey Chestnut with 3 wins, Kobayashi with 2 wins. So this would have been this was their 6th match. Kobayashi had a chance to settle the score, but Joey Chestnut, 83 hot dogs. And you know what? This is bad journalism you're watching. At play, I left a blank spot on my rundown to make sure I verified what Joey Chestnut's old record was, and I never went back and did it. So I'm going to do that right now. While I am live on air. I want to say it was 73. Dang it. I wanted to say 77. It was 73. So Joey Chestnut beat his own record by 10 hot dogs, which was the world record, 73 in 10 minutes. Joey Chestnut now again, I think he's got the top 9 of 10 spots for hot dogs eaten. I believe Kobayashi's 67 will now move him in there. But like I said, at the end of the day, just disgusting more than anything else. The way they're dunking them in water. I mean, look at his face. He's probably got 5 hot dogs in his mouth right now. Now, I do all say it's as disgusting and gross as it all is. I suppose that is impressive. I definitely couldn't do that. The other thing that is always impressive is what good shape these guys are in. And I imagine you have to be in pretty good shape to be able to force food down like that. But it is just gross. I didn't watch the event. I saw the highlights of it. I sat down and watched the Nathan's hot dog eating contest on 4th of July for the first time this year. And it is just truly upsetting. And it just watching them dunk the hot dogs in water. The water's turning pink. Their hands are all dyed pink. They're all sweating. It's just gross. But he was held out of the competition because he got some money, because he got a bag. And so we had to talk about it because not only did Joey Chestnut go out and absolutely obliterate the record or the winning score from this year's Nathan's Famous hot dog eating contest, broke his own record, which he did an event on 4th of July, which he streamed on his own YouTube, where what he was trying to do to extra dunk on Nathan's was Joey Chestnut was trying to take whatever the winning number was at the July 4th official competition and beat that in half the time on his own YouTube channel. He came up 5 hot dogs short of doing that. And so there were some people that are like, has he lost it? Has he lost a step? Came out yesterday on Labor Day and put those rumors to bed. Let's move on from this grossness. I'm gonna jump to Scotty Scheffler here, Jay, because this was thrown onto my rundown at the last possible second. I don't have a whole lot to say about this, but FedEx Cup did take place this past weekend, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It was the Tour Championship. This is your scores are cumulative. It all leads up to this tournament. This is kind of the championship round, if you will. Scotty Scheffler went into the tournament getting a little bit of a head start getting to start at a -10 after having the most cumulative wins and points through different tournaments this season. So Scotty Scheffler gets to start with a -10. It's a little bit of a head start and was able to hold on to it. He had the same situation last year where he got to go into the championship round not ahead, but with a head start, starting at -10, and he couldn't hold on to it as the weekend went on. He was able to this time. Carl Morikawa actually had a better weekend if you just look at how they played the course on all 4 days. But that -10 that Scheffler got to start the weekend with ended up being the difference as he does win the Tour Championship. Scotty Scheffler is able to hold on to his -10 head start this year after giving it away last year. Big congratulations to Scotty Scheffler. I got a little bit more into golf this year, was able to follow some of the tournaments. Having to repeat that performance and stay as mentally sharp and as mentally strong as you have to, it's impressive, especially when you have a history of letting that lead slip away. And then if at any point throughout the weekend Scheffler struggled. You know that's starting to creep in just a little bit. Scheffler does hold on, wins the FedEx Cup and the Tour Championship. Shout out to JJ Jerez, who threw that in on my rundown right before I got started. Want to make sure you guys are as up to date as possible. Wrapping things up with a couple quick NHL notes, and let's start with Leon Draisaitl. Rumors began to swirl last night that Draisaitl had gotten back into town and that a lot of progress was being made between him and the Oilers after some reports a few weeks ago that these contract talks really hadn't even begun. Well, they got it done awfully quickly. 8 years, $14 million per, and that's right, Draisaitl gets the money bag head this week. Last week, it was two different NFL players. Draisaitl is money bag head this week, as he will become the highest paid player in the NHL when that deal kicks in next year, assuming no one gets a deal that will be signed for a little bit higher than that. But Leon Draisaitl will become the highest paid player in the NHL. Connor McDavid, of course, famous, world famous, maybe the best hockey player on earth, maybe the most talented player to ever put on the skates. Most talented, not the best. Take it easy. Is up for a new contract in 2 years, and you know that will reset as well. We're going to get into this part of it a little bit more here coming up at noon with Off Ice, myself, JJ Jerez, and Megan Angley. How will this affect Mikko Rantanen's contract, if at all? I expect to see something similar when Mikko Rantanen does get back into town, just like this one. Draisaitl got back to Edmonton. Things happen quick. I imagine we'll see something similar with Mikko Rantanen, but does this payday put the ball in Mikko Rantanen and his camp's court to say, hey, maybe we do want to round up those decimal points. I know maybe we had backed a couple dollars off, but let's get those back on the table after seeing what our boy Leon just signed for. So shout out to Leon Moneybags, $14 million, 8 years, max deal, highest paid player in the league. Good on him. Where we're ending today's show is with the national broadcast schedule for the NHL, which was announced on Friday last week. Colorado Avalanche, Edmonton Oilers, and Sidney Crosby's Pittsburgh Penguins lead the way with 17 national games apiece. Edmonton Oilers, of course, Stanley Cup finalists last year, losing to the Florida Panthers. Florida Panthers have 12 national games. Colorado Avalanche, Cale Makar, Nathan MacKinnon, Mikko Rantanen, Devon Taves, the potential return of Gabe Landeskog, the drama surrounding Val Nichushkin. There is a lot going on with the Avs this year, in addition to them being Stanley Cup contenders, especially if both Gabe Landeskog and Val Nichushkin are able to make their way back into the lineup. I can see why Time Warner, TNT, Disney, ESPN would want them involved in the national broadcast. It is funny, though. Boy, oh boy, have the Avs come a long way. I remember the days where it was Colorado with 1 or with 4 throughout the entire season, like the Ducks or Blue Jackets. They've come a long way. They are one of the most exciting teams in the National Hockey League. And beyond that, one of the most exciting teams in the United States. Another thing that I do find is kind of a funny note is the Edmonton Oilers, 17 national games across TNT, ESPN, or ABC. So the Edmonton Oilers, 17. Toronto Maple Leafs, 9. But then you look at some of the other Canadian markets. Winnipeg Jets, 0. Montreal Canadiens, 0. Calgary Flames, 0. Just funny. Ottawa Senators, 0. How this is divided up. Now, of course, those 4 teams will have plenty of nationally broadcast games in Canada on TSN and Sportsnet, but it is just funny to note here that this is not necessarily a Canada versus the U.S. thing, but where do Time Warner, Disney find as the most intriguing markets for the U.S.? Boy, am I excited now. Our Avalanche schedule magnets just arrived. We'll be talking about this more at noon, but if you want one of those, make sure you are tuning in at noon so you can figure out how to get one sent to you so that these games right here, you don't miss them. You can stick the calendar right to your fridge and never miss a date. Actually, do you want to bring me one? Sorry, again, great live TV here. There it is. It does have the old logo on it, which is my fault, admittedly, but right there. Guerilla Sports, Abs Magnet, for your fridge. Abs schedule magnet. It's got all those national broadcast days on there. Wow, these look fantastic. This was JJ's idea about a year ago. So shout out to JJ. That's 2 shout outs to JJ today. Let's get a shout out counter going on this. Yep, there we go. Make sure you tune in at noon to figure out how to get your grimy mitts on one of these so that you can put it on your fridge and never be lost about what day the Abs are playing. Boy, am I excited on that. Jay back there running the board again today, doing a fantastic job. As always, we got a high energy week this week, a lot going on. I'm looking forward to our show at noon, but I got to get out of here. We got another show recording here in the studio. For Jay, I'm Jesse Montano. Liv Moods will be with you guys tomorrow morning at 9:30 a.m. Slight programming note, 9:30 a.m. tomorrow. Liv Moods, Guerilla Sports Daily, right here in the studio. For Jay, I'm Jesse Montano. Thanks so much, guys. We'll see you in the morning.